Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the UK League Championship. My name is JK Perry Matthews, and I'm joined by Dan Orcs Harrison, and we are here at the Monster Energy DreamHack Studios as we're rounding out the first round of the round robin here at the UKLC. So a lot of teams really starting to have to pull some weight, because as we head into that second phase of the round robin, if you're Demise, if you're M&M, if you're Enclave, you've really got some work to do if you want to get yourself back up and in with a shot to make it to playoffs.
Yeah, I feel like obviously we have the top four teams. If we can have a look at the standings, actually, you'll be able to see this as I explain it. So we have the top four, which are on their own in their positions, but there is very little between them at all. Very much an opportunity for the 5th, 6th, and 7th tied teams to be able to catch up. And that's the thing, is that Phelan, M&M, and Demise, they have opportunities to make that gap. And I think definitely the 3rd and 4th spots at the moment for playoffs are up in the air. I think 1st and 2nd definitely could change, but BTXL and Barrage, the way they're playing and also the lead they have in points, put them in a pretty good spot. But it's just going to have to see how the second round of the round robin is going. But obviously, you really need to sort of step on things now. Start getting those wins under your belt if you want to try and contest for that. Enclave struggling at the bottom with 0 wins.
Yeah.
I think for them, it's going to be less about getting to playoffs and more about start challenging some of these teams around their level and just getting some wins on the table. They have made a roster swap, getting the jungler Wyzek, who previously played for them last year. So potentially that can be a solid change for them, and they'll be able to at least play upsets. I think it's mathematically possible for them to make it into the top 4, but I think it's really hard, and it may come down to other teams dropping wins rather than them just winning all their matches. But who knows? Maybe they'll win 8 in a row, and that will sort of decide their own fate. But I think it's going to be hard pressed.
It's going to be very hard pressed, especially when they're playing against Barrage, our 2nd seed team here, in the end of the first stage of the round robin. So tomorrow is when the 2nd stage starts up and all the teams start anew. Well, not really anew, but, you know, they get to play each other again. We're ending the round robin, the first round robin here today. And let's have a little look actually at our matchups for today and see what games we've got coming up. So, starting it off with Demise versus NVision. Our game number 2 will be Fnatic Rising taking on M&M. Then it's BTXL versus Phelan. Be rounding the day out with Barrage versus Enclave. Now, Orcs, what games are you looking towards here? What games are you excited for?
So I think game 1 for me is a pretty big one. I think these two are the closest in standings. And I think there is possibilities that we saw, for example, Shikari on NVision have a really rough game day 2 last week. And on the other side, Demise pretty well implemented a 1-3-1 composition. Obviously, with Kerberos, they can heavily lean on a split push. If Shikari has another bad game, that could be an avenue where they take this match. And it's not just them getting a point on the board, they're also taking a point away from NVision, who they would end up tying with as a result of that.
Yeah.
I feel like the other 3 games, it is pretty heavily favored to one side. There definitely is potential for upsets. But it's less impactful to the standings, because if you take a point of BTXL, it's huge in terms of the achievement, and it's huge in terms you get a point that you wouldn't otherwise, but it's not denying a point from one of the people nearby to you. BTXL still with a huge lead. So ideally, I think Demise beating NVision would probably be the biggest game changer. But I think that if an upset comes through, as unlikely as it may be, it could potentially set a lot of things in motion.
Exactly. Well, let's have a little talk, actually, a bit more of a deep dive, as Demise versus NVision is the game coming up. I want to look a little bit at the top lanes here, and maybe the AD carries as well, but mainly for me, it's the top lanes. We got Kerberos versus Shikari. Kerberos was always a player who, you know, used to just play for himself and would win games off like hard split push. But as time's gone on, he's really shown his development as a player and more has become a kind of team-centric player. Then we look at Shikari, who is always in the UK scene being that kind of brick wall. He's been so hard to break down. He's always been strong at playing weak side, but for this split, he really hasn't shown that Shikari that we saw, you know, back in the spring of last year.
I think that's harsh, because I think it was one game in particular, and I think the reason it hit so hard is because his reputation was he was pretty infallible for the most part. He was a brick wall.
Yeah.
And I think that one was a really rough one where he was consistently getting caught out. He still did win, but it's not what we expect. I don't think it's enough for me to say that, you know, Shikari isn't the player we sort of expect, but I think Kerberos has shown a lot of development. Obviously, he took summer off, went over to career, and then he's come back and he's playing things like the Ornn, like the Gangplank, which aren't typically what we'd expect from him. He did lean away from the meta. And so that means I feel Demise have two avenues to approach this. I feel like they can look towards attacking the jungle matchup, which we saw Fnatic Rising do extremely well up against NVision. And that doesn't necessarily have to be challenging Nulti. It could just be Rolfchen farming up super heavily and finding a massive advantage there, and then mitigating Nulti's ganks because he does like to play these early pressure junglers. Or the other avenue is they could go into a 1-4 composition and then look to challenge Shikari if he does have another bad game. The concern with that, though, is that frequently Adept has shown he will play champions that fit in the side lane, like the Aurelia, like the Lucian, and he's been popping off so much.
Yeah.
You can't really bank on that.
The thing really for me of NVision has been the fact that, you know, kind of why I was kind of, you know, hitting on Shikari isn't hitting what we wanted from him, is that's kind of what the roster itself has done. Everybody thought NVision was going to be this academy team slaying roster. There was so much talent on these for the side of NVision on this team, and they just haven't been able to find that mark yet. And, you know, the questions are they as strong as we thought they are? Have they passed their prime in some way? Bit weird as Yusa is always rookie of the split, but even so, I want to have a little look at Nulti in this pick and bans because he, like you said, likes to play towards these early junglers. He's a very feast or famine jungler. When he gets rolling, he looks flawless, but when he gets shut down early, it seems to kind of snowball into more mistakes that can just put him further and further behind his enemy. And Demise, they actually put Rolfchen into the jungle in recent weeks, and, you know, he's been impressive so far.
Yeah, but I think it's not just Nulti on NVision, though. I feel like they've obviously on the upswing. They've started to climb back, and I feel like every game someone underperforms, whether it's the bot lane, the jungle, the top. The only person who's been consistent is Adept. He's been solid every game we've seen him, so he's been impressive. I'm just waiting until we see the NVision where everyone performs to the standard we expect, and that could be at the level of an academy killer, but we are yet to see them all firing on all cylinders. But for now, we have had those initial bans come through. So LeBlanc, Sejuani, Aphelios, and then the Soraka, Cassiopeia, Yumi. So a lot of scaling denied by NVision. That does leave that Ornn open potentially as a first pick, and Karthus could go in tandem with it. We've seen Rolfchen on the Shyvana. We know he's happy to play a farming jungler. That could potentially be a really strong mid-jungle duo if you played that. And the Demise are going to lock in the Ornn. So it's a flex pick, obviously. But there's a possibility they could lean towards that, which is a little bit concerning. So we actually see a quick Senna Tom come out, and something that's changed, because we obviously are on 10.3, Senna gets a lot less souls as an AD carry, so what teams have been doing occasionally when it's shown up is Senna goes as a support with a support item, and the Tom Kench will take the gold from the minions until Senna has stacked up an item. So Tom Kench gets a little bit more gold income, the souls still go over to Yusa, and essentially, it's not as strong as Senna prior to 10.3, but it's better than AD carry Senna in the current state. And a quick answer from Demise is going to be that Ezreal Rakan, so not leaning towards that Karthus jungle as of yet, but it does mean that they have a pretty mobile bot lane, pretty hard to punish, and Shikari is going to go with that set.
Alrighty, well, NVision looking to now get their bans through. Where do they want to look? Because, again, technically with this Ornn, it's still a flex pick. You can put it in the jungle, you can put it mid, you can also put it top lane here. So Demise, while they've picked that on, and you're kind of seeing Kerberos starting to pick this one up, you would expect that to be the pick. They could pull something out here and actually catch NVision off guard. Maybe ban away some stuff that they don't want to go up against and then just get themselves a nice
The big
top
thing
lane.
is here is NVision have priority in junglers. They get first pick when it goes to the next rotation, so they can take what they want. I think you can just ban away facing towards Rolfchen. I feel like the Karthus is a no-brainer. They actually went for the Shyvana first, which is another farming jungler that the Ornn mid could potentially set up. But I feel like you have to ban the Karthus if you're NVision. Demise are going to look towards the mid lane, potentially looking at strong picks that they could blind for Adept if they do want to go for the counter in terms of jungle. Syndra being one of them. Actually going for the Echo, which is interesting to me. Because these are both the picks that Rolfchen's played, but this is kind of just saying, oh, you played these, so we'll ban those. And I feel like just because he's played those champions doesn't mean this is the situation for them. Yeah. It's kind of, if Rolfchen has a short champion pool, then yeah, they hit him hard, but I don't think that's necessarily the case. The Yasuo ban's going to come out. There was potential they could go for Gragas Yasuo in this situation. They could still take the Gragas here for Nulti if they wanted, but actually they're going to go for the Karthus themselves.
It's a nice change of pace here as well for Nulti. You know, we were talking about how he's an early game jungler who likes to go for these ganks and puts his pressure down. He's now on that Karthus, so probably just wants to sit back a little bit, get some farm under his belt.
Well, I think
what's the answer here for Rolfchen? How do you deal with this Karthus? Is it just hard invading? Do you pick something up like maybe that Lee Sin? For the moment, actually picking up the Ziggs, so that'll be their mid laner.
I think Jarvan can do pretty solid here. It sets up the Ziggs well, can also apply a lot of pressure in the early levels. You can Cataclysm both the Tahm Kench and the Senna, so there's no real out to it. But it sort of depends what Rolfchen wants to play. I do like the Karthus pickup. I wasn't sure if they're going to go in that direction, but the main point was they had to deny Karthus from Demise, because I think Ornn mid, Karthus jungle super powerful. Instead, they are just going to go for that Olaf, so a lot of chase down potential. I think in this situation, Adept needs something that can challenge the priority off of Ziggs. It's not actually that hard in the early levels. It's sort of when he gets the Ludens that he can just blow up the waves instantly. He still has priority in a lot of situations. So he's got to wait and see what ends up coming up in the mid lane. It's going to be that Lucian, so something that doesn't have as much shoving power as Ziggs, but the fact that you can consistently auto-attack means that you are able to push the wave in, and then you can challenge Zoran. You can look to go aggressive on him, and it's providing pressure for Nulty, because the worst thing that can happen for a farming jungler like Karthus is that your mid laner is shoved in, your bot laner is shoved in, your top laner, and then the enemy jungler can just invade and do whatever they want. This won't really be a possibility here, and I think NVision giving themselves a lot of tools to facilitate this Karthus, but they are up against a lot of scaling components in the terms of that Ornn and that Ziggs. And I feel like the range discrepancy might prove an issue later on.
And as the game goes later, obviously you've got those ornaments you can hand out, which just naturally is going to give you that kind of little edge as well, because it's effectively just free gold kind of given over and turned into something for your team. Once Zoran gets his death cap upgraded, once you get the Triforce for Rabstar upgraded, provided he goes for that, or maybe the Blade of the Ruin King, does start to get a little bit rougher now. Early, where are we looking? Where's our attention going early here, Orcs?
Well, I think it's got to be the mid-jungle matchup for Demise. They need to have priority on the Ziggs and him not getting bullied about by the Lucian. And then the Olaf needs to be making some momentum on the map to challenge his Karthus, who's just going to be fine farming. I think in the later stages, the situation is going to change. And it's really going to come down to how the execution is in team fights. Is the Lucian strong? Can the set find flanks? Is the Karthus in a position to do a lot of damage? Because there's a ton of poke from Demise. But also, if those carries, if Ziggs and Ezreal can sit on the backline and stay safe, they can pump out consistent damage. So I think it's a matter of NVision finding the right team fights for them, because there's a very real situation where they just can't find the backline access and Ezreal and Ziggs keep pumping out damage, and it can make it difficult to start an objective. So I think vision control is going to be key. I think from that you can potentially set up picks, but I think the early game is going to be the big talking point of this one, because the two champions I think we're going to be watching the most in terms of how they do is the Lucian for NVision and the Olaf for Demise. I think how well their early games go could very much dictate the mid game of this matchup.
Going to be tracking out multiple members here. Adept and Rolfchen are the two, though. We want to really keep our eyes on this early game. Actually looking like Yusa has decided not to take himself the support item, gone for a Doran's, so it actually just is your normal, typical AD carry Senna.
I mean, it's not, because Frostfare's gone the Doran's ring.
Oh, that's miscommunication.
I mean, from what I've seen, you go the Spell Thieves for Yusa. Unless he's planning a quick recall and grab it.
Potentially. Maybe he just wants a little bit of kind of extra something. I don't know. Actually.
Well, I guess the thought process is that if... I mean, the problem is they're never going to get at a point where someone wants to CS, because Yusa, he doesn't want it. He wants the souls, which you don't get if you farm the minions at nearly as high a rate. And this... I mean, I don't know. I guess we'll see how this one plays out. To my knowledge, when this was run, it was with the AD Spell Thieves line. I forgot the name for it, but on the Senna, and then you would stack up that passive.
Sickle, isn't it?
Yeah, the sickle.
Yeah.
And you would stack that up, and then...
Demise looking to go for an invade here. Adept, though, does a good job to spot them out. We'll be seen on that ward as they move through into the blue side jungle here, looking for an early invade. We're going to steal this one away. It's like NVision are going to try and contest this somewhat.
Yeah, and they can.
Moving their way forward. Prospere closing in. Adept tries to put that damage down into the pit. It's going to be picked up by Rolfchen.
Actually, it was Prospere who got it in the end, so...
Denial from everybody. No jungler wins.
Rolfchen didn't use flash. Nulty ended up failing it. It does deny the blue from the Karthus, but Rolfchen taking a pretty heavy hit there, forcing you on the Olaf. When you're low HP, you're fine clearing. from there, but it's going to hurt Nolty's first clear is the main takeaway.
That's actually very rough in Nolty's first clear, but he also used Smite as well, so he doesn't even have a Smite to farm with. So it might be a little bit of a rough going for him, so I'm sure he'll be fine with it. He just wants to kind of sit in his jungle and farm anyway, so we'll just slow him down a little bit here. Now, bot lane, we'll have to see what's going to go down with Yusa and Prosper if Yusa decides to go for an early base and pick himself up the sickle. We did see momentarily there, Zoran did place a ward down at the red side, so Wilchard feels it. He might want to go for an invade, but he already is low from that early fight, and as an Olaf, you really, really don't want to get yourself killed early, especially if it's versus a Karthus.
Yeah, and the flash just stops from how aggressive you can be in the early game. It sort of limits that to a degree. Plus, for having that blue does mean he's able to spam out his Qs pretty heavily. But this lane can often find priority. Senator, pretty strong with the chaining slows between them, is quite effective. For now, Wolfchen, he's just fine farming up. He just pick up his own blue, so not too big of a hit. And he's actually path towards bot side.
Oh. Okay. Well, that was one of the people we wanted to see how they would do.
That's just a pure misplay. Flash not used by Zoran. There wasn't even an ignite on the Lucian. That's the big takeaway, is that typically when you want to be aggressive, you see Adept with the ignite. But this is just credit to the best performing member of NVision so far, which is that mid laner challenging the likes. And that was the big question mark for NVision, is we knew that the known quantities on the rest of the roster, but the concern was, could Adept stand up to the likes of Magi Felix Special, these top tier mid laners? And so far, he's done pretty solidly. So now Yusa's going to pick up the sickle after his first back.
With that, Vampiric Scepter has been picked up for Adept. Zoran did go back and get himself a second Doran's Ring. So there's a little something to work with, but Adept. Good job to find that first blood. Not curious to see how he actually set up for that play. We didn't see it coming, but now it looks like NVision looking to collapse in here onto Wolfchen. Prosper spits out the Scuttle Crab. Actually gets himself knocked up as Yusa trying to make his way over that wall. He gets himself a bit like stun off, and Prosper will use the grey health so he doesn't take too much damage. He's going to be able to walk away. Meanwhile, in the top lane, Kerberos has been having a very, very rough go of it here versus Shikari. Shikari bouncing back from his slightly dire game last week.
I just checked to make sure I wasn't misremembering. So the first time I saw this played was Cloud9 versus Immortals. And it was Cloud9 who ran the center support, the Tom taking the farm. And they did go the Doran's Ring the Tom, but they had the sickle from minute 1. So maybe this is a different variation, or maybe Yusa just forgot. But either way, we are seeing a dive potentially come out here. I think minion wave low, Ornn being pretty tanky. I don't think they want to risk that one. Karthus not the best at setting up dives. Although Shikari has been putting down a lot of pressure in this matchup. You can see the farm difference already. Well, if we are speaking about that, you can see a similar farm difference.
Yeah, almost in the bot lane.
But that's not really too relevant because of obviously the support item. So it's kind of expected, but it doesn't mean...
It's relevant because Yusa only just got the sickle. So actually there is still lost gold here. But Demise, they've got that pushing pressure in the bot lane. So they're going to try and use something here to try and get themselves onto this Drake early as Adept. He's threatening the dive onto Zoran. One more piercing light would be enough.
And Adept's just styling on this matchup. That's all I can really say. TP
teleport's coming
now
in.
coming in.
Like the fight is on. Nolty steals the Infernal Dragon. A two-man knockup will come through as Shikari uses himself the face breaker. Nolty trying to put some distance away, and a haymaker will keep him alive. NVision steal the dragon and secure themselves a kill.
Good play coming out, but ultimately that was a very risky dragon from Demise. They didn't have the priority in the bot lane. I think they did initially when they started up, but they took such a long time. There was opportunity to react. Shikari comes in with a TP.
Adept was also burning Zoran's flash during that time as well, so they had complete pressure.
This is the issue, is Adept just has complete control over mid lane, so there's not really any assistance coming out from that.
Yeah, you can see NVision. They're going to get themselves a plate here in this bot lane for Yusa.
And a big difference maker here is that the Tom is actually going to be pretty bulky compared to the likes of Dragdar. He would be anyway, but even more so with that extra gold income. And Yusa, I mean, the main thing is the stacks, because you get your AD, you get your range, you get your crit from that. He's still going to get decent gold to pick up the items. And It's gonna be interesting to think how things pan out in the later stage of the game, because obviously Yusa is going to be the one with the Sightstone available to him. The one who's going to need to be warding. And also it's balancing around the value of taking CS for the souls or otherwise.
So, 7 minutes on the clock. We can see NVision have got themselves control as far as the gold goes and on the map. And Adept, he's just styling on Zorian right now. Will actually get forced into the tower, so it takes a little bit of trade damage back. Good trade out there.
And the main thing is
equalize that out, but he's got the bilge water, so he can just heal off the minions.
Yeah. But the main thing is that Zorian has kept up in farm, and the Ziggs does scale extremely well into the later stages of the game. So it's not too much of a hit in those regards. And one thing to credit Rolfchen for is often we see junglers, when they try and force too much in the early game, they fall pretty far behind in farm compared to a Karthus. He has kept up, but now...
Oh, flash forward here by Yusa. Gets himself the slow off and the root.
Requiem's available. I think they're working out if he's low enough. I think he would be low enough if Nulty pops it here, but he's opting not to in this situation. They had no heal, but Dragdar potentially could have had the Battle Dance to shield him, so just going safe on that one. Holding the Requiem for when they're more sheer fire and know that they'll be able to find this play, but ultimately it was a trade of flashes between the AD carries in the bot lane and allow a bit of a pressure play. Actually, Rabstar stayed.
Well, that means he's going to go low.
It does actually survive.
29 HP he had.
So I think the call here was that Rabstar had stayed and Dragdar had reset. There was no one there to shield him, but he'd regened enough by that point. So first Requiem wasted, but Nulty does get a Dark Harvest stack off the back of that, so not the worst thing in the world. But this is now the window for Demise. If they want to make any proactive plays, this is the opportunity to do so when they don't have that global ultimate potentially going to kick in and swing things against them. The one thing they do have to factor in, though, is Yusa's. His global ultimate is soon going to be available, so have to factor that one, even if the Requiem isn't available.
Now Curb trying to eke back some of the CS deficit as Adept jumps onto Zorian, just forces him out, throws out the culling and the flash, and that's an easy solo kill for Adept. Picks it up simple as Zorian goes down a second time, 1 versus 1.
He's just getting bullied out here, and I feel like the Lelouch pick should be able to challenge the Ziggs by all means, should be able to push him out of lane, but you shouldn't be getting solo killed like this. There's no assistance from Nulty coming in. It's not the Requiem was used to calculate that and finish it off. This is just Zorian getting outplayed.
Nulty hovering around this top side, wants to see if he can try and get himself this Rift Herald for his team. Push further that advantage they've been able to get, and constant shoving from Shikari, just dominating the Kerberos top lane matchup. Means that they are going to be able to rotate down their Adepts, even teleported in to make sure this is picked up nice and easy. NVision, they will get themselves the first Rift Herald. Where are they going to throw it? Are they going to look to try and blow open the mid lane? Because, like you said, once that Ludens does come through for Zorian, it's going to get very hard to actually deal with that mid lane push. So if they can take the turret down, it's fairly big. Crossfit actually has to flash away here.
Yeah, he was trying to ult out, but it got reset, unfortunately. He's now going to try and run away and find another opportunity to use the ult. It doesn't go off cooldown.
Oh,
he can go for it now, yeah. I think he gets over the wall. No, he doesn't actually. So he's been found out here. Really, really short range, just at level 6, but he's pretty tanky. He's got a
very tanky. Yusa's going to try and heal him, but
not that tanky.
Even the grey health, he's not tanky enough. That's going to be a kill for Rabstar. Demise picked herself up a kill in the bot side.
And what he could have done, he could have ulted into the enemy base and taken an execute. So Prospect a little bit greedy there. He definitely could have gotten away from that situation without handing over that 450 gold in total, 300 for him, and then the assist.
And what this does do is it gives over the dragon here to Demise. So they get themselves the Ocean Drake, they get something in return for that as well.
Yeah, so just a little mistake from the bot lane of NVision.
Shikari will get himself 2 plates, and now we are looking at a Cloud Soul here. So, people are going to use that Cloud Soul well. Rolfchen, he'll use it well if he can get it. Drag as well. Nulty's going to enjoy it for just the flat cooldown reduction. So if, you know, NVision do start to stack up these Cloud Drakes, he's going to like it just purely because he'll be able to get 30%. I feel like
that's the weird thing with the Cloud Soul, is that the passive movement speed is great for a lot of champions. The ult movement speed, really, really situational. And that's obviously a big part of the power budget. And then the CDR reduction on the ultimates, again, situational. Nulty will love it. The movement speed when he activates his ult, pretty useless in all honesty. A lot of aggression coming in here, though. You can see The Karthus and Lucian potentially looking to pressure down the bot side, but now they're just going to go mid and look to poke out Zoiran, but he knows they're coming. He backs away.
This is one of the nice things about the Cloud Soul, means you can just rotate through the map really, really quickly with those little speed shrines you get around your buff areas. Now, Kerberos looking to see if he can make something happen here. Call of the Forge God's going to get used, and Adept, he finds himself knocked up. Mega Inferno Bomb shorts a shutdown down. Nulty just wasn't able to make his way in there in time. Shikari
and this
not
is
matching.
This is one of the issues with Lucian, is that he is pretty short ranged. Going up things like against things like the Ziggs, the Rakan, the Ornn, difficult to play. And if you go over aggressive, you dash in without a plan to get out, without a flash, you can be vulnerable in these situations.
Oh, Shikari just going to shove this wave in, get himself a base off. Nulty's still running around with that Rift Herald, but we might have to hold this for the moment. Yusa use the mist to try and keep himself safe for the moment, healing up Prosper. Prosper's going to pop the grey health. Nulty closing in here as Prosper goes golden. Yusa fires out the railgun and Wolfchin will go down. It's a 2 for none in favor of NVision, and Kerberos is late to the party. Shikari might look to try and turn this one around. Watch for the Haymaker. Watch for the Requiem. Rabstar will take a serious chunk of damage here. Nulty has no mana, so he can't follow up the damage, but he will follow up with the Rift Herald. NVision, they should just get themselves a turret here.
Yeah, they got Demolish as well, so should be able to get it low enough for the Herald to just finish it off. They're going to get first tower, a ton of gold, and it was Demise who started that play. And that's why I'm a bit confused, because they opted into that one. They knew Nulty had the Requiem available at that point. He didn't even end up needing it, but they also ended up TPing super late with Kerberos. I feel like when you go for that play, when you see the TP coming from the opponents, you back away. You go, right, that's what we wanted, let's get out. But instead, they kept committing to the fight, and then Kerberos only TP'd like 5 seconds later. I feel like if you're going to go for that play, you TP Kerberos in initially, you put everything down to make sure that play works, and then you deal with the consequences. But what it felt for me is it felt Demise going for a half-hearted play, and then NVision's reply was full commitment. And that's why NVision came out ahead. They had the Herald already set up, so they're able to put that down. And then now have put themselves in a position where they have a 3,500 gold lead, pretty significant for them.
Alrighty, well. Manamune finished up for Yusa at this point, starting to stack up his sickle.
Not even too far behind in terms of items compared to Rabstar.
Just finished boots.
And obviously the big discrepancy as well is Prosper has a Sunfire Cape. So he's got a whole item completed.
Oh, it looks like a shove is coming through here into this mid lane. Multiple members are dealing with that. Adept does have that culling if he needs to clear out the wave, but for the moment he's holding that summoner. Sorry, holding that ultimate. Rabstar trying to catch this wave. Yusa do a fair amount of damage here already. Just poking Rabstar here and there, trying to get himself these souls stacked up. You can see how many souls he's been able to pick up.
I was just thinking that as you said it.
He's going to check for us, so we will see how many souls he's got, because obviously there were nerfs to the center.
51.
That's not bad actually, considering post nerfs.
So actually,
got 2 more there.
But that's the thing, is it's support center.
Yeah.
AD carry center got nerfed for a soul generation, but support center actually got buffed. So if you're not taking the farm like Yusa isn't, you'll actually end up with more souls than you would have before this. So it actually puts you in a pretty solid spot overall.
Oh, looks like a fight's breaking out here. Actually, just Nulty instantly finding himself a kill onto Dragdar. Still has that Requiem as well.
Yeah, Dragdar not having the best time here, ends up going in with the quickness, but doesn't find anything. Wolfchin, his ult down as well, so
Adept's closing in.
Yeah, he can just go in here.
Flashes over the wall with complete confidence. The Requiem comes down. Rabstar goes low, but he will be able to live. Adept just man-moding it into the face of Demise. Shikari will be able to push up this mid lane as well, and Kerberos is going to be sent on wave clear duty.
It just feels like NVision taking control of this game. Demise try to go for a play. Doesn't pay off at all, and then NVision punish them massively. That's been the story we saw in the bot lane. We're seeing it now in the top lane, but Kerberos is looking.
Yep, now I'm going to get a knock up onto Nulty. Adept uses the bilge water. Shikari closing in. Facebreaker and Haymaker. It's a fair amount of damage off in return. Nulty just getting healed up here by Yusa over the wall. So actually does get himself a route in place here. Crossfair will secure the Rift Herald for his team. Yusa really wants that soul, but doesn't want to lose his life for it. So he's going to step away.
That's actually a good contest from Demise. I thought it looked a little bit precarious, but they end up forcing them away thanks to the poke from the Ziggs. And it means that the Herald is denied for now, and they're actually heading towards that one, so willing to give up the Dragon for this. And the question's going to be, NVision, they can contest them and they can try and force them off this. But they're actually sending Adept to the bot side of the map. So he can
Rapstar
just solo out the dragon. Rapstar,
I did not expect that damage. Usain does have the R as well, but Dragdar should be able to block it up for the moment. Do you get himself a route off onto Kerberos, and Shikari threatening a dive in there.
You know what? I haven't missed Senna. That's all I'm going to say. Doing a ton of damage, ton of healing, the slows from Glacial Augment and the huge range. And now 65 stacks from Yusa. This is the pace you wouldn't find with 80 carry Senna on this patch. And even last patch, I feel we were struggling to get this many. Demise, they did get that Herald. They're going to put it down top lane, and with the Ziggs, they can easily blow that tower up. The trade-off is that Cloud Dragon on the other side of the map, and still pressure being applied mid.
Yep, have to use that Mega Inferno bomb to clear it out. Wolfgen will take the top side tower. Meanwhile, Adept just farming away, using his double up as much as possible just to push through this tower. Got that Blade of the Ruin King, got the Phage, got a fair amount of damage to work with. Second charge is going to come out, and Shikari wants to try and get his way in here, but he's going to struggle, and Zorin, with the satchel, should be able to blow that tower up. Rapstar teleports back into the mid lane.
Yeah,
Demise, they've picked up the pace a little bit here.
They have. They're matching, though. This is a good situation, honestly, for them. The fact they trade 2 towers top for 2 towers bot. Yes, they do lose that dragon and some damage mid lane. But when you're behind, trading evenly like this is pretty strong for you. Zorin's been farming up like a monster, being able to pull ahead of Adept on the Ziggs. And the Ziggs just take scale extremely well. In the later stages of the game, his damage is going to be pretty insane. But for now, not really feeling the impact other than just clearing waves.
Yeah, I don't miss Senna either, actually.
You know, I was talking about how the range discrepancy might be an issue. That's true for some of the champions on NVision. Basically, everyone but Yusa. Yusa's range is... He's going to be able to go toe-to-toe with Demise.
He's going to get lots of range.
Yeah.
76 stacks now. That's actually insanely good pace.
He's been... Yeah, he was 65 when I last talked about it.
That's actually better than last patch, I think.
Yeah, it is.
I think you're right, because I think normally they would end the game with like 120, maybe 110.
This is really actually...
That was a good game.
Really
That's actually insanely fast.
I mean, they buffed the center support stacks. You get... There's a really high rate from the minions of getting stacks, and this is why this is viable. This is why you can do this, because Tom Kench, happy to take the gold and become bulkier, but Senna, the stacks are the more important thing. And if you look at the items, he's still getting gold in terms of... He's still getting gold in terms of... you know, assists and tower plates and towers themselves. So it's not like, and obviously the item generation, gold generation from the support item he's picked up. So it's not like he's getting no gold, and he's pretty even in items with Rapstar is the main takeaway from this. And yes, NVision are up 5k, so that's to be expected. But it's pretty rough when you consider how many souls Yusa has. He is about to tick over and have that fully upgraded sickle. Which means obviously there isn't a penalty for taking CS, but I feel like this is a direction they're going to continue because the important thing is the souls. And yeah, Rapstar dies 1v1 to Shikari, so... Oh, that happened.
Yeah. Alrighty, well. NVision going in for a cheeky invade, and we said we wanted to track how well Wolfgen would do at the start of the game. We wanted to see how well Adept could do in the start of the game. You look down at your scoreboard, 0-3 for Wolfgen. He's had a very rough game. And Adept, 2 solo kills onto Zoran, and he is now well and truly unlocked in this side lane. Jesus going to take a lot of poke there. Is that Ziggs?
Fortunately, he's playing Senna, so he can just Q and heal it all up. It's not too much of an issue. But yeah, NVision very much in control in this early game. Dragon spawning in minute 40, and that'll put them on soul point, so 1 away. And obviously, Cloud Soul, not the most impactful for their team by any means, but definitely puts things in their favor. I think stacking up 3 Cloud Dragons goes a long way, because they have some powerful ults, namely the Requiem. Fortunately, one of the things you want to do is take down that mid-outer tower to try and snowball the game, crack through that, and you can expand your pressure into the enemy jungle, push your ward line deeper. Not really being allowed that right now because Zorin is playing Ziggs, and Ludens onwards, your wave clear is just pretty disgusting. It does force Rapstar into the side lane, which we did see him die solo against Shikari. But for the most part, he should be okay as long as he has ward coverage because he does have that mobility. And yeah, big spikes coming in now for NVision. We've got 2 items on Shikari with the Sterix and the Black Cleaver. We've got the Leandries and the Runic Echoes, the Blade of the Ruin King and the Black Cleaver for Adept. So a lot of big spikes for them. But on the other side, it's matched actually pretty well.
Yeah,
Demise,
the ornaments are starting
yeah.
to come in. You've got the Forged Fire Cape, you've got the Infernal Mask, the Obsidian Cleaver for Wolfchen. Obviously waiting for Zoran and for Rabstar to get their Death Cap and Triforce before they really start to contest here. As Clouddrake spawns up in 33 seconds, and Demise, they're the ones to head over, clear out some vision, get some deep vision of their own place down. So they're trying to get control of this pit. They don't want to let NVision stack up and get onto Soul Point. They're setting up for a pick. This is another thing you were hitting on was that pick
Rabstar?
potential, but Rabstar had to arcane shift over the wall, and Shikari was just bolting
They look
towards
pretty
him.
precarious, but
Bros,
fine.
as the Call of the Forge God looks to throw out the bounce house. Yusa is going to be the one to get caught up. Prospect, a good old gobble though, means Yusa should be fine as they turn this back around. Shikari goes in with the showstopper. Haymaker is absolutely massive. In comes the Requiem. They still have that railgun to work with as well. Zoran has to use the Zhonya's to survive, and 2 kills picked up for NVision. They can look towards the dragon.
Yeah, Demise started the fight, but it felt very non-committal. They land the CC on a Yusa, but he's gobbled up instantly by Prospere, and the follow-up isn't there. They try to assign a new target, but it wasn't really possible. They're actually going
all the way in here. Wolfchen gets himself caught out for the moment. Haymaker's going to do a lot from Shikari. So Wolfchen has to flash away. He gets caught up by all of the CC, and Adept looks to turn it back around as a railgun. Is not going to be enough to find the kill. Turret will fall, though.
Ultimately, they got the tower. That's what they wanted. They got the dragon. They're on Soul Point. They won the team fight on top of that.
Yeah, Nolly's just doing his own thing there. Head diving, and he's like, I'm going to get Clouddrake.
Don't even need him there. A lot of confidence coming out from NVision. Pretty overwhelmingly in their favor so far this game. 4 minutes, 40 seconds. Oh, but Adept might be in a bad position here.
Yeah, Adept's really, really in a bad spot. He gets himself flashed away. So has to use that summon a spell to get away from that. That was really greedy by him, actually, considering his team were resetting.
Yeah, I think looking for gold to finish off an item potentially, or...
We'll say a kind of out-of-character misplay there from Adept, because like you noted at the beginning of the game, he's been playing very well so far here at the UKLC.
Yeah, has been this game.
Good. And this game, he's looking for a solo kill onto Rabstar. Rabstar's trying to jump away. Culling's not going to be enough. And in comes the True Shot Barrage. Adept not even close enough. Mid lane turret will fall. Now, it might be Zoran who's falling. He's getting slowed down. The flash away from the bomb. Nolty gets himself one. Nolty gets himself a double kill. Now Wolfchen wants to try and run through the team with a Ragnarok. They have got Yusa gobbled up, and Yusa, he's able to find himself that kill nice and easy. The Call of the Forge God. The fun never ends. Yusa with a fancy feet. Able to dodge away.
Normally, I always say there's an element of dodging, an element of missing. That was a miss. That was just a pure miss. Although credit to Yusa using the heal to survive when he came outside of the Devour from the Tauntaun.
What's Prospect doing?
Prospect's feeling confident. He's got items in his pocket.
Yeah, he's not that strong. Teleport's going to get used. He does have the grey health, and he does have Shikari. So maybe I'm going to eat my words a little bit here. Adept, we're going to find the damage onto Kerberos. The Haymaker comes down. Do get some CC off. Kerb's very tanky, though. So this is quite hard for them to do so. And now Prospect getting jumped onto. He'll be able to pop himself a little something here as Kerberos now gets himself CC'd. Yusa's got the healing in. Kerb is tanky, but he is getting CC'd for days. The Mega Inferno Bomb's going to go down. It's going to chunk out Yusa a little bit, but they've already got themselves a double kill as the Requiem will finish up a second one. Nolty, that Feast or Famine jungler, 5-0 and 4. He's having a Viking feast right now.
It feels like Demise are just consistently trying to force at every opportunity. And it doesn't feel like much thought is going into when they're fighting. It's just like see champion, try to kill champion, fail, everyone dies.
I want to check something here because actually this center is insane. It's
108
stacks right now, but like that is mad. Means he's got 125 range. Adept's stealing away the blue buff, but actually getting caught out. The quickness will knock him up. Followed up by the showstopper by Shikari. The bombs are going down into a Haymaker. Rabstar secures it with the True Shot Barrage. Shikari goes golden, waiting for backup, waiting for the Steric Shield, but one more axe to the head. And it's a 1 for 2.
Wait, and Rabstar actually killed Yusa. I don't know how that happened, but this is actually the opportunity to go for the Baron. It's only Nolty and Prosper up. Remember, Prosper has a lot of gold. He is more than just a standard support arm Kench.
Yeah, they can use that Call of the Forge God. Remember, the damage coming down from the Baron's fairly scary. Nolty gets knocked up, but now Dragdar needs to be very careful. With the Eon, he's doing so much damage to them, but running low a little bit on health here as Prosper has the Grey Shield to buy some time, and Nolty, he's just got to peel backwards. Does find himself at least one kill in return. And he might have just bought the time he needed there for his team. They don't lose that Baron. Kerberos starting to run through Nolty here. Look at that damage he's doing.
That's unfair.
Yeah, all balanced.
Very balanced, but ultimately, Demise finally, their run at you and try and get kills worked. An overstep from Shikari and Adept paid to a degree. There were some shutdowns handed over, and Rabstar finding the kill 1v2 from what I'm aware of against Yusa is pretty hypey. NVision making some mistakes, but they're still 8,000 gold ahead, and the Baron didn't get secured, so...
And you've got that Cloud Soul coming up in 55 seconds. Everybody on NVision are back. Nolty closing in on that level 16, so he'll get full points in the Requiems. His ults are going to hurt. Got a death cap for himself finished up. And it is starting to get a little bit scary here if you are Demise. Yes, you got Zoran, who's going to scale incredibly well, but I don't know if you're going to get that opportunity for him to get back into this game. You can see the gold on your screen right now, even in the mid lane now, so Zoran's done a good job to pull this back from that kind of early deficit he found himself in.
I took a look back at what happened in the mid lane. Rabstar TP'd in, and then Prosper tried to get on top of him as Yusa was dying, and then Prosper realized, oh, my AD carry's dying, I better run back and eat him, and by the time he got there, Yusa died. So quite a bit of a misplay. We do see Demise looking heavily to contest this dragon, but as you can see, thank you observers, very little vision.
Oh, good. Gonna take himself a little bit of CC, but actually Yusa misses out. Do throw out that culling, and Kerberos gets himself picked up. So Demise, looks like they're out of options. They might just have to step back here. The healing from Yusa as well makes it really, really hard for anyone to deal with him, or even land any kind of poke that will stick.
Yeah, Kerberos
Cloud Soul spawns up. Shikari will take himself a little bit of damage here, but oh my lord, Yusa is just mincing through Rabstar. Does have the ultimate. The Requiem's going to come down. The shields are big, but when you've got a railgun to fire as well, it's not big enough. In goes the showstopper. Dragdar looks to jump away, but Yusa has range for days, and he finds himself another kill. Demise losing members left, right, and center. Prosper's tanky. That's a big old bomb with a haymaker, with a Shikari. Prosper will lick for the kill, and they lose yet another member. Wolfchen can't even walk back into his base. Feeling a little bit more confident here. The rest of the team, they're just on to Baron. You've got Adept, you've got Nolty. They actually do this fairly quickly just between the two of them, and now they've got the backup of the rest of the team to tank it for them. Scry has gone down, and they're looking to try and get someone onto Wolfchen. Wolfchen's trying to get damage back onto Prosper, but he gets picked up. Now Kerberos is going to try and pick up the support in response here, but he's going to have to just run away as Baron Nash has already envisions. Prosper sacrificed his life to make sure they stayed alive.
Getting a little bit out of control. Baron, Dragon Soul, 11,000 gold lead. It's not looking great. Prosper's now got 3 items, so he's super tanky.
Warmog, Spirit Visage, and the Sunfire Cape.
Yeah, he's a beefy Tom Kench. And it just adds to this. It just means they have a huge front line from Vision. They have 2 carries who can just rail down damage, and then they have the Requiem if any of that fails. And right now, Nolty is hyper-fed at the moment.
See, the Trinity Fusion's been finished up onto Rabstar. Death Crown should come through for Zoran fairly soon, as he's almost got the cap finished up.
132 stacks right now for
my lord.
So yeah, doing pretty well.
He's got a lot of range.
That's 90% crit chance afforded by that. So obviously he overcaps with just the rapid fire cannon. He's at 100% crit chance and more. He then gets lifesteal from it.
Oh, thank you, Observer. Actually bringing up all the stats for us here on
900 range with the rapid fire cannon. Yeah.
He is threatening right now. He's getting more souls as well. This just continues to stack. This just continues to get even worse and worse. Look at that damage. Look how far away he was when he auto-attacked Kerberos. I don't know why I said damage, because there wasn't a lot of damage, but just the range he has is insane right now.
And it makes the siege so powerful. Right now, they're really just relying on wave clear. They do have the Ziggs. They obviously offer a lot of assistance.
Sorry.
Doesn't do that much.
Trading up versus Kerberos, but at this point, Kerb's pretty tanky. It does get harder for Shikari to be able to kill him, but if Shikari can throw him in to the team, he's going to do a lot of bonus damage there. As Adept takes down the last outer tower. The last tower remains outside the base here of Demise. Zoran's going to do his best to clear out this wave, but Yusa, that just gives him free time onto this tower, and with his Q, he can just heal up nice and simple as well. That tower's already almost down. They step away to deal with Adepts, and they almost lose mid lane inner.
Rough game for Demise. They can hold out for the rest of this Baron and not have their base broken. Potential, they can find their way back in the game, but right now you say he's closing in on that tower in the mid lane. It's just gone.
Adept's gone on to Zoran here. They're trying to see if they can find a little poke off. Adept, he's out of there. He's got sustain. Bomb goes down, only hits Nulti and Prosper. Nulti doesn't take too much. He is on the outer rim of the ultimate. As Call of the Forge gets thrown down to Shikari, but the Railgun, the Requiem is pretty big, and in comes the backup. They did get themselves the kill on Shikari, however. Health bars are still a little bit low. NVision, they say, whatever, we'll just take your tower. And now they're looking for a second inhibitor.
Just took a lot of damage there, but ultimately they may have got the kill, but they're losing so much in terms of structures. Mid inhibitor down, top inhibitor getting taken down here.
Yeah, good wall of pain as well to deny them that. Actually looking for a knock-up onto Nulti. Uses the Bellows Breath to keep himself unstoppable. Uses that Call of the Forge God. Sorry, True Shot Barrage. Getting baited out by fast-moving ultimates as Adept tries to poke some damage back into Kerberos. Adept is just playing with supreme confidence here. Does need to be very careful as he flashes away from the grand entrance. Bot lane inhibitor will fall eventually here, as NVision did take that out, but top lane held. Demise do a good job to at least hold that. They got 1 minute 30 until this Elder Drake, and you feel like this is just the base time here for the side of NVision. Spend your gold you've just got off a fantastic Baron push. Wait up for this Elder Dragon, and then look to close the game out there.
Imagine a world where you have 400 less gold than Rabstar with 100 ECS difference. You have 400 AD, 100% crit chance. It's just, I don't know, Senna. Just Senna things. 925 range with rapid fire cannon as well.
So you get presence of mind?
Yeah,
interesting.
Because you go mana immune, so
yeah.
the mana it gives you extra AD. That's been it, because I think it's pretty common on Ezreal now, because obviously everyone's going lethal tempo for the attack speed, for the on-hit, but then also presence of mind gives you that bigger mana pool. It regens in combat if you get a kill, which obviously means more damage from the mana immune procs. But overall, just it's really nice to have.
It's 151 stacks. That was a lot even when Senna was like really broken. That was still quite a lot.
Yeah, I remember we had a game in the Nordics which went to like 40 to 50 minutes, like a long one, and I remember the Senna there had about those stacks.
Yeah.
So definitely the support Senna working out well, and the fact that you have this super tanky Tom Kench who's very farmed.
Because I think the benchmark was like 100 by like 40 minutes maybe. It was like a good benchmark to set. If I can't remember how it was.
No, it was definitely...
It's been a while since I've seen Senna, but I remember the benchmark. We are above that benchmark right now. Is the key point.
Definitely
here.
Faster rate.
Wolf just taking a lot of damage.
Yeah, you're going to have
Infinite Rage is actually going to force away the Ragnarok here. And now Kerberos getting a flank onto Adept. Adept's looking to try and jump his way out there. Tries to turn it back around onto Rabstar. The Call of the Forge got the railguns too slow.
Adept being a little bit over-aggressive this game, and we said that NVision, everyone had been having bad games apart from Adept. Adept definitely had a great early game, but making some mistakes. That was a big ult, but Elder goes over to Demise, over to NVision, and Demise, this may well just be their Demise.
Yeah, they got a lot of damage to work with now. Don't have Adept, but Wolfkin, he's getting slowed down. All you need is a little bit more damage, and then suddenly that auto attack, that gifted the Elder will be enough as Prosper goes in for an Abyssal Voyage. The showstopper's enough to get the Gifted the Elder to proc. Kerberos actually gets interrupted while he's trying to charge by Prosper. Gets himself gobbled up here. You can see Yusa going for a swim. Dragdar may just get himself caught out. The Requiem is huge. Is it just going to melt through those health bars? A double kill for Yusa. Zoran and Rabstar, only two remaining. The bomb's very big onto Yusa. He's going to be able to heal himself up, and Prosper's just looking for one more optimistic tongue lash, but Rabstar not going to find himself the kill. Nulti flashes forward, and with the E and with the gift of the Elder, finds himself a kill. Adept going for one last kill on to the side of Zoran. He takes him down. The base is left open and 36 minutes on the clock. NVision will take out Demise.
NVision looking good. Oh, they're just looking to farm.
They've got the Elder Drake. They're going for glory. Wolfgens use the stopwatch, and they're going in. The minions are going to end the game.
Thank you, minions.
Thank God for that. Could you imagine if we got an extra 5 minutes on the game because NVision hinted at the end?
Yeah, well, ultimately, NVision, not flawless. There were definitely some oversteps that they got punished for, but for the most part, a solid game from them. Adept really looking good in the mid lane, just running away with the matchup against the Ziggs.
I want to give a big shout out to Nulty as well. 8-0 and 7 on Tarfus.
He really pressed R well. So.
He pressed R well, but come on, man. We were hitting on how he plays early game junglers. He's very feast or famine. This game he was feasting, and he wasn't playing on an early game jungler. He played I'm going to kill you from my jungle while I'm farming jungler. But I mean, last week we did kind of hammer at Nulty a little bit for making quite a few mistakes. This week, starting out strong. We'll have to see how he's going to play tomorrow, but Nulty played fantastically well there.
Yeah. For me, for Demise, I think there were some question marks in draft. I think they definitely could have taken the Karthus early. I feel like the Ezreal Rakan, it wasn't really an answer to the Centaur. It didn't really do anything against it.
Yeah.
And it's like, why prioritize that so heavily at that point of the draft? Mid was obviously a big issue. The Olaf never really found any momentum. And the biggest thing for me was they kept looking for these fights with no setup or no purpose. Like, they went for that fight bot lane where Kairos TP'd in like 20 seconds too late.
Yeah, they set it up as well. So
yeah, that's what I mean.
You would be ready to teleport and then in that fight.
They had a play top lane where they go for the engage when they just don't have the numbers, and then they lose, and then NVision take like huge amounts of control. And it just felt like Demise were setting up the plays that gave NVision the advantage.
Yeah.
It's like they were just handing it over like, oh, you want a base? Here you go. And I just think more coordination from Demise. There were definitely moments where, they were finding some ways to get picks. But for the most part, I just felt like they were forcing fights that they were never going to win. Even ignoring the goal discrepancy, it just felt like they were just forcing whenever they could. And yes, NVision had some mistakes, but I think when you're that far ahead, you can afford to have those mistakes.
Yeah, you absolutely can. But it was a good game there overall coming out from NVision. It's good to see them bouncing back because remember, they were the team who we said were going to be able to beat out on at least challenge some of these higher tier teams. And they've had a rough start here at the UKLC, but now they're solidly in that 4th place. And depending on the Eminem versus Fnatic game, they could actually tie.
Yeah,
it's a big ask, but it is potentially there. They're quite comfortably in that 4th space for the moment. And the second round robin, they had a hard start to this round robin, but if they start out strong going into the second phase tomorrow, they could look to climb up. They could look to try and catch up and challenge the other non-academy team, which is Barrage. So I'm excited to see what they've got coming for us in the coming weeks here at the UKLC as we approach towards the playoffs phase. But we're going to cut to a quick break. And when we're back with Eminem taking on Fnatic Rising. So don't go anywhere. We'll see you in a second.